Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and Restless official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. As a new week in Genoa City begins, teasers for Monday, March 24's episode of The Young and the Restless tease some shocking revelations. A character consoles his ex, another makes amends with a loved one, and someone plots a trap for their adversaries. It's time to get right in and see what type of drama Monday's show will bring. Victor Newman establishes a catch. According to Monday, March 24th spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Victor Newman will set up a trap for an adversary. Could this have to do with Aristotle Dumas or Jack Abbott and Jabot? Victor told Michael Baldwin during the soap opera's preview for the week of March 24th to 28th that he is an opponent of Dumas and that they had a history together. What is the mustache planning to accomplish next? The record is set by Billy Abbott. Straight Billy Abbott corrects Sally Spectra on the other side of town. Does this have anything to do with his affections for Phyllis Summers? Lately, he has been around by his ex a lot. In addition to their collaboration, he assisted Nick Newman in rescuing Phyllis and Sharon Newman from their abduction predicament. Is this about something else, or will he attempt to reassure Sally that he and Phyllis are just friends? Nick Newman provides solace. Speaking of Phyllis and Nick, Mr. Newman will support his ex-wife in her hour of need. As viewers may remember, Summer Newman went into Crimson at the end of the Wednesday, March 19th episode and requested her dad for assistance in regards to her mom. After the kidnapping, Summer was concerned about Phyllis's conduct, and it appears that Nick will discover her in a very emotional state during Monday's show. After this experience, is she going to seek therapy or other aid, or is she okay? In any case, it appears that Nick will reassure Phyllis that she can rely on him. Who would you most like to see at the show on Monday? Leave a comment below. Visit SOS frequently for the best Young and the Restless news, spoilers, and updates, and watch the CBS serial opera every day to see all the drama in Genoa City. Summer rambled at Crimson Lights that she believed Chance could use a friend, but she understood if he was too busy. She recommended that they laugh and get some comfort food. She asked for a rain check and quickly added that they could do it at a later time if he had to work. Summer turned to go, but Chance reprimanded her, saying he wouldn't let her get away with it. He said he was starving and that comfort food sounded wonderful. Together, they set out. Nikki thanked Lauren for meeting her on the terrace of the coffee shop. Right there, Lauren told her to halt and insisted on knowing whether Nikki had consumed alcohol once more. Nikki vowed that she hadn't touched alcohol since the previous evening. She clarified that following a negative experience at work, she had succumbed to temptation. She was totally sober and insisted it was over. Although Lauren was happy to hear it, she wondered what would occur in 10 minutes. Nikki said that an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting that morning had helped her get back on track, and she opened her purse to demonstrate that she had no hidden flask. Lauren hoped Nikki could see why she was worried, but she still believed her. Lauren emphasized that she was afraid about Nikki, who acknowledged that her actions had been reprehensible. Noting that she had already done it and would do it again, Nikki was adamant about beating it. Lauren realized that meetings and words alone were insufficient to make it happen. Nikki vowed to damnedest her best to ensure that such an incident never occurred again. Seeing Nikki in that state had been devastating, and it was fortunate that no one else had seen it, said Lauren. Nikki's strength and pride in her sobriety were praised by Lauren, who hadn't witnessed any of it the previous evening. Nikki apologized for forcing Lauren to create an excuse when Victor called and stated that it was the reason she hadn't wanted him to see her in that light. Nikki was thankful that Lauren had spared him from fearing that something horrible had occurred, as Lauren recalled that he had known something had been amiss. Lauren said that a horrible incident had occurred and recalled that she had never been more concerned than she had been during Finn's addiction. Nikki vowed that upsetting Victor was the last thing she wanted, while Lauren lamented that feeling completely powerless had been a living hell. Lauren said that she only felt sympathy for Nikki and tried to help her in any way she could. Lauren encouraged Nikki not to suffer alone or allow her family to endure any more suffering than they had already had, and she made Nikki pledge to call her if she couldn't contact her sponsor. Nikki wished she would never have to accept Lauren's invitation. Lauren reaffirmed that Nikki could always rely on her, but she had faith that Nikki would overcome it. With all the help she had, Nikki wondered how she could fail. Lauren noted that Seth had appeared somewhat worried and that she was confident he would be there for Nikki at any time. Nikki thought she was fortunate to have met him and remembered that at meetings over the years, they had shared success tales. Nikki was thankful that he had consented to sponsor her and that he had made it simple for her to get in touch with him after realizing she was having problems. Lauren likened it to the understanding Nikki had with Catherine and Neil. Nikki realized that without first-hand experience, it was nearly hard to comprehend addiction, and although Lauren had endured a lot with Finn, it had not been the same. According to Lauren, Finn and his sponsor had a good relationship and had even celebrated Christmas together. Nikki was thankful that Seth was there for her, even if she didn't think their relationship was like that. The door opened and Seth entered. "It was nice to see Nikki and Lauren," Seth said. Since she had been absent, Nikki felt bad for not thanking him in the hotel suite. Seth promised to assist her in returning to stable sobriety as her sponsor and was happy to see that she was looking better. She hadn't seen Seth at the meeting that morning, Nikki remarked. He suppressed a yawn and said he wasn't feeling well. Nikki encouraged him to return home and rest after he mentioned that he was heading to a late meeting. He always kept his phone on in case she needed anything, Seth emphasized. Nikki worriedly inquired as to whether Seth had appeared to Lauren to be all right after he entered the coffee shop. Summer made Chance order all his favorites at Society. She recommended they start with a drink to help him forget what was on his mind when he declared that it would be everything on the menu. She reasoned that nice food and wine would help pass the time until he was ready to comprehend everything, but he assured her that he didn't need a strategy dedicated to lifting his spirits. Although he felt it was for the best, Chance acknowledged that he had been taken by surprise because he had assumed things with Sharon had been going well. Summer understood that the pain persisted. Chance maintained that he was not angry nor resentful, and he believed that after the first discomfort subsided, he and Sharon might remain friends. Summer commended his mature demeanor, drawing a comparison to her own and Kyle's efforts to maintain a cheerful and polite demeanor for Harrison's sake. Chance guessed it was more difficult for her since she had a stronger and longer relationship with Kyle, which meant there was a lot more hurt to overcome. Based on his own experience, Chance told her that it simply took time to truly understand what the future held. Summer suggested that they get some cocktails flowing and reminded him that their purpose was to lift his spirits. Summer had a feeling that Chance and Sharon had broken up long before that day, and she assumed that they had already done so when she last saw him. Chance clarified that he hadn't been prepared to reveal his soul since he had still been a little raw. He said he'd rather talk about anything else when Summer inquired if he was ready at that point. She boasted that her shopping spree had salvaged his career when he brought up the subject of the wardrobe advice she had given him. He joked that he obviously had no option, but she teased that it meant he had to trust her judgment about everything from now on. The clothes were nice, but the man inside made all the difference, Summer said as she and Chance left the restaurant. He claimed that he couldn't arrive at work exhausted after staying up too late, so he had to get going. She whispered that the evening had been pleasant and that she didn't want to be held accountable if he was fired during his first week of work. Soon, he said, they should do it again. Daniel apologized to Danny at his apartment for Lucy's loud music. Danny said he was shocked that he wasn't on her playlist, even though he had already asked her to provide it to him. Danny acknowledged that he'd gotten into some of it, but Daniel complimented him for making fun of her by asking for her list. I never knew where I'd find motivation to stay on the cutting edge, Danny continued. Multiple text messages rang on Danny's phone, and based on his father's smile, Daniel deduced that they were from Christine. Phyllis sent Danny a message asking if he could speak for a moment. Phyllis, meantime, paced her hotel room and wished for Danny to return her call. In an attempt to cheer herself up, Phyllis persuaded herself that Christine was with him at the moment. Oh no, Christine. That will not succeed. Phyllis vowed, I will never, ever allow the bug to stand in the way of my relationship with Danny. Phyllis took out some seductive lingerie from the drawers of her dresser. She held a bra up beside her body and looked into a mirror. Danny had left her with no other option, she thought, but she didn't mind at all. Wearing only a trench coat over the tight underwear, Phyllis grinned as she changed into it. Lucy came into the room back at Daniel's and declared herself hungry. Lucy mentioned that she had a particular yearning for grilled cheese the way her mother made it, so Danny volunteered to make her something. Lucy explained that Heather was en route to her mother's residence when Daniel objected, saying that Lucy didn't need to travel that far for a meal. To make sure they had everything they needed, Lucy went inside the kitchen. Danny noticed that things had quickly gotten out of hand, and he reasoned that Lucy would be pleased. Danny asked if Daniel was pleased that Heather was on her way. He hadn't been able to tell Lucy she couldn't phone her mother, Daniel thought. Danny pondered Daniel's feelings when he saw that Heather had been spending as much time there as she had at home. Although Daniel strongly denied that there was anything more going on than co-parenting, he had a sneaking suspicion that Lucy was up to something. Having both parents in the same town was exciting for the teenager, Danny guessed, but dividing her time between them took some getting used to. Daniel felt bad because he was the reason Lucy had endured so much. Danny thought it was comforting that she was spending time with Daniel and Heather as a family, just as they had in the past. Daniel noted that having both Danny and Phyllis in town was the exact opposite for him, which was somewhat unsettling. Daniel stated that the memories of his parents' history of being at each other's throats had permanently altered his impressionable psyche. When Danny's phone rang once more, he saw that Phyllis had left a message asking to meet with him at the jazz lounge. Daniel answered the door as Danny accepted Phyllis's invitation. As he was leaving, Danny said hello to Heather and inquired about his father's whereabouts. After replying that he wouldn't be long, Danny departed. Daniel expressed regret for dragging Heather out by Lucy. Heather said that she was pleased that her daughter still desired to spend time with her dull, elderly mother. Heather wasn't old and dull, Daniel vowed, but he told her not to allow Lucy take advantage of her. Heather declared that she enjoyed making Lucy anything she wanted and that she lived for such moments because they wouldn't continue forever. Returning to the chamber, Lucy came to a halt. Lucy reported that they had no cheese, and Heather saw the guilty expression on her daughter's face. Lucy offered peanut butter and bananas as a possible replacement when Daniel questioned them incredulously. Later, Lucy chirped good night to her parents and said that hot chocolate and marshmallows always put her to sleep. Heather offered to wash the dishes after Lucy went to bed, but Daniel objected, saying she didn't need to do it as she had already prepared the meal. After she had dropped everything at their daughter's request, he felt he owed her, but he also sensed Lucy enjoyed spending time with them like they used to. It wasn't only Lucy, Heather said quietly. Although Heather thought Daniel had already realized, she volunteered to express it aloud, she was falling in love with him once more. Phyllis gave Danny a drink in the jazz lounge and thanked him for meeting her. She asked for a favor before he asked about the great urgency. She asked him to play the song she'd helped inspire, referring to it. Danny countered that he was still working on the lyrics and promised to be there if she wanted to talk. She begged him to listen to the song first. Phyllis said that because she was motivated by his music, it gave her the impression that everything will turn out as it should. Danny went to the piano and started to play. With a smirk, Phyllis took her phone out of her handbag and started filming him. Phyllis put her phone back in her purse and gave a hearty applause as Danny concluded the song. He urged her to tell him what was truly upsetting her, but she still remarked that it had been incredible.